Kia ora everyone, my name is Charisse. I'm the nutritionist for Green Prescription. In this Live Your Best Life presentation today, we're going to cover healthy eating on a budget, some tips and tricks on how to eat well but still stay within your money budget. There's a myth that eating in a healthy way is more expensive. While foods that are not as healthy may seem cheaper, it is false economy when you consider the impact it will have on your health long term. It's possible to feed your household according to the healthy eating guidelines and recommendations without blowing your grocery budget. In this presentation, we'll cover a few themes with tips to make it work for you. The first theme is back to basics. It can seem simpler to grab a ready-made meal or even a sauce to make things quicker to prepare at home, and these are often advertised as good value for money. One example is a pasta sauce. You actually can make it yourself with a can of tomatoes, some onion and garlic, and a few herbs for much less than a pre-made jar of sauce. Often, pre-made foods such as sauces have much more sodium and salt in them, as well as other ingredients which are less helpful for our health. If you make it yourself, you know exactly what is going in, and you have the control over it. The same goes for biscuits, cookies, and cakes. You have much more say about what you're eating if you make it yourself. Many of us are time poor, which makes it more appealing to spend less time in the kitchen. I suggest that when you do have some time, perhaps on the weekend, make a bunch of meals or several batches of baking that can be frozen or used over the week when you are busier. Rather than buy a lot of pre-made foods, try to go back to basics and getting the raw ingredients so you can make your own combinations and substitutions. This is a lot more versatile and allows you to experiment with recipes and flavours. The second theme in eating well on a budget is find better value. House brands, which are often not placed at eye level in the supermarket, are great value for money and are usually just as nutritious as their more expensive counterparts. Use these for your pantry staples such as canned and frozen vegetables and fruit, baking ingredients, rice, oats, and pasta. Be sure to check labels for sodium, salt, sugar, and added fat on the cheaper versions though. Save your money to spend a little more on a hero or luxury ingredient like Parmesan cheese, for example, in a dish rather than the whole dish. Many cuts of meat can be found a little cheaper than prime cuts. You just might need to cook them slightly differently. For example, chuck and shin beef steak tend to be a lot cheaper than premium steak cuts, but make a tasty, slow-cooked stew or casserole, which can be used in lots of different ways. And as we head into the colder months, this is the perfect time to try that out and practice it. Aim to have a few days a week where meat is not included in the meal. There are a lot of tasty vegetable-based recipes out there, and eating less meat is good for our wallet and great for our long-term health. If you do include some meat, think of it as a garnish to top off the rest of the meal rather than using meat to base the meal around. Bulk up meals using legumes and vegetables so they are more filling, but use less meat. And this also goes a long way to increasing our vegetable and fibre intake. Become markdown savvy is the final tip. This means be wise about use by and best before dates. Produce, so vegetables and fruit, that doesn't meet certain cosmetic standards like being too big or too small or looks a bit of a funny shape, is often cheaper but just as good as the other types. Perishables like meat, dairy products and bread are usually cheaper when they're near their use-by dates, as shops need to get rid of them because they cannot sell them after the date has passed. The use-by date is to do with food safety. The food may be unsafe to eat after this date, so should be eaten or frozen before the use-by date. Small fruit and veggie shops often have bargain boxes of mixed fruit and vegetable that is nearing the end of their ripeness or getting along a little bit in its appearance. And they are really great for being made into dried and bottled fruit or used in baking. And vegetables can be frozen to add to soups and stew. So check those out too. Think outside the box is our final theme. Learn to substitute ingredients in recipes which are in season or may be cheaper than what the recipe states. Most recipes can have other ingredients used instead, and you can use it as an opportunity to be creative in the kitchen and experiment. Growing your own food has so many benefits for our mental health, slowing the pace of our lives, getting closer to nature, and the sense of satisfaction that you have had a hand in producing your own food. It also saves money over the long term, and even small patches of land can produce salad greens, herbs, and some fruit. Have a look on the internet for videos on how to regrow vegetables from scraps and seeds in the kitchen. If you produce a lot of one type of food, for example, you might have feijoa or lemon trees which produces more than your household can eat. Use the extra to swap with other people for something that you would like or need. Use other versions of an ingredient. It's fine to replace fresh vegetables and fruit with frozen, dried, or canned. For canned vegetables, drain off the salty liquid, and for canned fruit, choose ones in natural juice or tip out the sugary syrup and don't drink it. When you're cooking, be smart with your leftovers. What can they be added to make a new meal without you starting from scratch? For example, the leftover roast vegetables could be used in a salad, soup, or a stew. A leftover cup of cooked rice can be used to thicken a stew, or frozen to make a stir fry, or added to an egg frittata. Bones left over from meat roast can be slowly simmered with herbs, raw vegetable peelings, and ends to make a stock for risotto, soup, and stew. So think about how your meals can pull double duty. If you have questions about nutrition, please get in touch.